Hesper Hyman, and this is my AEP858 Module 5 case study about Truman Elementary. So some things that we know about the school district in Truman Elementary. Talking about the school district, there are 4 K through 8 schools, 2 K through 4 schools, 1 5 through 8 middle school, and 1 high school. Looking at Truman Elementary, we are the largest pre-K through 8 in the district, approximately 700 students. There is 1 preschool class, and then for the other grades, there are 3 classes per grade level. 7 through 8 is divided into teams. As far as our demographics go, there's about a 15% free or reduced lunches with 5% ELL students. Some other things that we know is that our reading achievement is low. And our students are showing a loss of ground as they move through school and as they move from grade to grade. Of course, parents have taken notice of this loss and have noticed that their students are not reading as well or fluently as they need to, as well as their spelling. And the PTO has asked that I, as the administrator, attend and discuss their concerns with them. I have carried out an initial assessment, but I also have requested an independent assessment from the reading supervisor. There is a grant that is available for reading, and we are going to see if we can get that as well. The reading supervisor's findings, she is showing that in each of the classrooms, there is approximately about 1 hour of language arts reading each day. The things that she made note of is that there is no individualization of the lesson, that it's generally done in group work. There are no small groups. Only a few classes are addressing the strategic reading practices, and those don't necessarily come from the curriculum. These are things that the teachers have put in place themselves. And her observation is that our reading instruction is not aligned with recent research and therefore is not effective in the classroom at this time. Some of her recommendations are that we need to revise our curriculum. We need to look at a more phonemic and phonetic skill set with some reading comprehension. We need to make sure that we are incorporating reading and writing in there. There needs to be more than 1 hour of instruction, and during that time frame, there needs to be a mixture of word work being done, reading on level and reading above level on challenging books, strategies to improve comprehension, and then, of course, we need to incorporate writing in there as well. Delivery needs to be changed to where it's more focused on the individual students. We need to make sure that we are providing diagnostic information to teachers, as well as having some comprehensive professional development for our teachers on any new curriculum. Some things that I feel like I need to know to make a better decision on this is how do Truman scores relate to other schools in the district? What curriculum is currently being used, and are we using it effectively? Are there reading interventions, and if so, what kind and how are they being used? How is data being collected and analyzed? Is data being collected and analyzed? And have the reading scores been a problem that has been addressed previously? Is this something that is new to the school district? It looks like it's been ongoing for 3 years. So, is this a problem that they have spoken about previously? So the problem as I see it is that Truman Elementary standardized reading achievement scores are lower than math across the board, and students have shown loss moving through school as well as from grade to grade. Not only should this be a concern for the staff and the administration, but parents have become concerned, and the PTO has requested that I address them about their concerns at their next meeting. So my plan of action, first of all, I'm going to notify the superintendent of the concerns that have come up and outline with him and work with him on my plan of action. Then I'd like to meet with the teachers and go over the reading supervisor's findings. I want their input on it. How are they feeling about this? Do they feel like it is warranted? Or are there some changes that they see? Next, I want my teachers to start gathering the data they need to assess their classes. We need to make our curriculum more individualized to our students. And so, therefore, the teachers are going to have to start pulling out that data. I want to set up team meetings. These are going to be grade level as well as being above and below. So we want that alignment going on. I want them to really focus on some essential questions to reading improvement. we're already into the year. And so now what are we going to do to finish the year strong? And then what are we going to be looking forward to in long-term goals? I want to talk with other principals in my district concerning their curriculums and how they are seeing them being used in the classroom. I want to make sure that I'm gathering a committee for reviewing new reading curriculum and making recommendations. It sounds like our curriculum is not efficient enough and effective in what it does, and so we need to start looking to see if there's other things out there. I need to discuss with students and the superintendent and plan for professional development, either on the current curriculum that we are using, on data analysis, so that we can analyze what's going on and find the needs for each one of the individual students. I will be meeting with the PTO to discuss these issues and how we are addressing them. Of course, this is going to be a general, broad overview. I want to make sure that I'm not giving out information that I shouldn't. But I just want to let the community know that we understand their concerns and that these are the steps that we are going to be doing to help improve our students. I'm going to fill out and submit the grant information. And of course, there needs to be some continued monitoring the progress as we go through the rest of this year and then continue in for the next year. So how am I going to implement this plan? I'm going to start with formative assessments. If they have not already been done, then if they have, we need to review that data from the most recent assessments. I want to group my grade levels for team meetings. Implement professional development on reading strategies. This is going to be a good time for me to use some of those teachers that have already started implementing some strategies in their classroom, as well as bringing in some curriculum specialists with the curriculum maybe that we currently have, or some other reading interventionists. I want to make sure that I'm walking through the classrooms and making sure that there are changes to the reading language strategies that are being implemented. I want to make sure that all of this that we're doing is actually being effective in the classroom. And I want to make sure that the teachers are getting it and that they are putting it into motion. It also gives me an idea of, who's struggling with this, who might need a little bit additional help, who I can maybe put together for some mentoring or different things like that. I will meet with the PTO, fill out the grant information, and then help review and choose new reading language art curriculum. When I look at the success for all students, one of the things is that we need to make sure that we're individualizing our instruction. I want to make sure that we collect, analyze, and track the data for each student. We can't just look at the school as a whole. We can't look at the class as a whole. We need to be looking at each individual student. I want to make sure that there are small groups based on skill development so that each group is being challenged. I want my low students to be challenged. I want my average students to be challenged, and I want my upper level students to be challenged as well. Professional development for teachers. This is successful for the students because the more confident that my teachers feel in being able to bring the curriculum to life and being able to break it down into groups and break it down for the individual instruction, the more success the students are going to be having. And then I want to make sure that that professional development is not just a one-time deal. We want to make sure that there is follow-up throughout the year as the teachers need. So some resolutions that I think we're looking at. Students, of course, reading scores will improve. That's ultimately what we're looking for. We want to see those reading scores improve. But also, teachers will have a better understanding of the individual needs of each one of their students. We can't look at our class as a whole. We have to address each individual student. We have to make sure that we're filling any individual gaps. We need to make sure that that each student is learning. Kids aren't going to learn all on the same level. So we need to make sure that we are meeting their needs where they need it. What was I thinking, feeling, or valuing during this case study? The first thing I asked is, why has this gone unnoticed for so long? How can we have 3 years of negative data and this is just now being addressed? And it sounds like it's being addressed mainly because the PTO had a problem with it. It wasn't that the principal had a problem with it. It wasn't the superintendent, it wasn't the district, it wasn't the teachers. So based on that case study, that's my first feeling there. Has this problem been addressed in the future? Is this been an ongoing problem of defiance in the teaching area on the curriculum that's being used? Or is it you just haven't had strong leadership up to this point? Is it truly the curriculum that is the issue here, or is it how the curriculum is being implemented? Is the curriculum being used correctly, or is it just been thrown together, group instruction, let's move on? Do we need to bring in other supports such as special education or ESL? And I want to make sure that parents and our community members understand that I hear their concerns. I am concerned, and give them reassurance that we are addressing the problem, how we're going to be addressing the problem, and the steps that we're going to be doing. I want everybody to be aware, definitely, that this is not going to improve overnight. It didn't take us a month to get in this situation. So it's not going to be a month and we're out of it. This is going to be an ongoing process. I think if we start implementing changes now, and some of them might feel pretty drastic, we're going to see the process over the next 2 to 3 years with improvements in their reading scores. Some unresolved issues. I know not everybody's going to be happy. You're going to have teachers that are going to be upset about a new curriculum. You're going to have parents that are going to want overnight success. Everybody's not going to be happy about these changes that we're going to be making. But, we just have to keep the best interest of the student in mind. As I said, this is going to be a process. It's going to take time. I want to make sure that, my teacher evaluations that I'm going through, I'm doing the walkthroughs. And since this is becoming such an important part of our curriculum and some things that we're trying to improve here at Truman, I want to make sure that our teacher evaluations are reflecting their changes that they're making. I'm definitely going to be looking at, is new staff going to be needed? Are we going to need to add some additional help so that we can do these small group lessons? Or are we just going to be needing to train to make sure that the teacher's able to handle what they have? Some examples of continuous improvement. I met with the PTO. I'm going to continue to update them. I want to be open with any improvements and how they're being implemented. I want to make sure that parents are informed of changes in the curriculum. So how do I look at policies, laws, and regulations for the learning aspects of all my students? By applying for that federal grant, it allows us to bring in necessary funds to hopefully buy a new curriculum or purchase some additional materials. Make sure I'm using the state standards and data analysis to find those essential questions needed to make improvements. And I made sure that changes allowed for every student to learn and receive special services if they need it, remediations and interventions. We're going to be hitting this pretty hard, and we need to make sure that we don't leave any child in the dirt as we go. So some examples of ongoing dialogue with decision makers. Like I said, meet with the PTO regularly. I want to make sure that we're keeping them up to date and keeping them notified. I would rather have the information out there ahead of time instead of making excuses behind. Have meetings with parents to discuss reading language arts and what they can do to help their students at home. This can't be just done at school. Students are going to need to be immersed in reading and reading strategies. I'd like to also set up some fun reading programs for students outside the school. Some things maybe I could do is include some businesses and some prizes, maybe, set up our own little program that they read so many books, they get points, kind of like an AR program or something like that.